morning. I will now call the November 16, 2021 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Supervisor Anderson? Supervisor Lawson-Remer?
Aye. Here.
Supervisor Desmond?
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas? Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher here. The invocation, will now proceed with the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be delivered remotely by Imam Taha Hassan of the Islamic Center of San Diego. And immediately following the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance will be delivered by Cindy Hilliker from Lindo Parks Elementary School. Please rise, and we will begin first with the invocation.
Almighty God, our Creator and Sustainer, we pray to you and in your name with humbleness and humility. We pray for your blessings and guidance as we come together celebrating our unity while respecting our differences. We come together as a strong community to recognize the milestone work overcoming the pandemic and all its impact on our people. We pray for our County Board of Supervisors and County Health Department for the continuous hard work to protect the people and create a safe environment for our people to work and prosper. Our Creator, we seek your help and support to serve the people in the best of our ability. Grant us strength, wisdom, and compassion. Forgive us for whatever mistakes and shortcomings done in the past, as we always hope for a better future full of success, achieving prosperity and the well-being for all. We pray for the values of peace and justice to reign and spread in our county, all over our nation and the whole world, so people can live safe and prosper, have food on their tables and a roof over their heads, can seek quality education and fulfill their dreams. We pray for love, unity, and mutual respect so we can thrive all together, paving the path of a bright future for our coming generations. Grant us the ability of embracing each other, welcoming the stranger, feeding the hungry, sheltering the homeless, clothing the naked, and providing for the poor and the needy among us. Almighty Creator, the source of all being, the most gracious, the most merciful, in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll now go to the pledge. Ms. Cindy Hilliker's Lindo Parks Elementary School. Thank you for joining us and lead us in the pledge.
Ready? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job.
Thank you. You all did a great job. Thank you very much. We're now going to move to our proclamation. Oh, hello. Hello. Oh, yeah. I think we just should have let that play for a little bit. All right, back to work. We're going to now proceed to our proclamations. I'm going to present the first proclamation honoring United Domestic Workers and National Caregiver Appreciation Month. Accepting the proclamation will be Adriana Monarez and Elise Herbert. You know, many families in San Diego have a parent, grandparent, a spouse, a partner, a friend. Someone has reached a point where their health needs require in-home supportive care. That, in so many cases, is the best option for that individual. It keeps them in their home. It keeps them healthy. It keeps them moving. It's the best option oftentimes for our overall healthcare system, where we may have a shortage of other facilities, and it's something that can be good for those individuals and good for our total county. And the individuals who go into someone's home to care for them, these individuals, I believe, are healthcare heroes. They are also proud members of the United Domestic Workers, and they're here today as we honor and recognize their dedication, as we recognize their service and their compassion and their commitment to care for one another in recognizing National Caregiver Appreciation Month. UDW represents over 126,000 workers in 21 counties who provide care to low-income seniors and people with disabilities through California's In-Home Supportive Services program, and over 22,000 family child care providers who care for children on state-assisted programs. In-home supportive service caregivers played a critical role throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. These individuals continue to go into homes and provide compassionate care to help people at a critical time. IHSS providers were declared essential by the governor during the pandemic, and they sacrificed were especially meaningful in putting themselves in danger to help keep their clients out of nursing homes and help keep their clients safe and healthy day in and day out. These caregivers went into conditions that put their health at risk to help others. IHSS caregivers are healthcare warriors, and we need more of them. At the county, we've taken steps to get more workers into our team to be able to support more individuals living a quality life in their own home. In March, our county committed to helping recruit more IHSS caregivers, again, to ensure that we can help more people throughout our county. You know, the ability of a society to take care of its elders says a lot about who we are as a people. And our commitment to invest in workers who can go in and take care of individuals as they're aging, who can help them with their medicine, who can help them with their daily chores, who can help feed them and get them to the appointments and move them around, is a tremendous act of service. It's also difficult work. It's hard work. It's challenging work. And we recognize today how difficult and hard the work is that our in-home supportive service workers do. We recognize the vital role that your union plays in representing you, and we appreciate what you do and the impact that it has, often unseen. But it is not unseen by the Board of Supervisors. And so we're here today to officially declare this month to be Caregiver Appreciation Month throughout San Diego and express our deepest gratitude to all of the workers for the work that you do. So thank you very, very, very much. Thank you.
Just want to thank you, everyone, and this work that we do, it's really important for our families and the community that is. So please support us, and thank you so much.
Hola, muchas gracias. Mi nombre es Estela Garza. Gracias por todo su apoyo. Esperamos una buena respuesta para este programa que, o sea, necesitamos mucha ayuda. Gracias. Que tengan un bonito día.
Oh, no, because we'll give you a
Good morning.
Is that everybody? Okay.
Nate.
Okay, that looks good. Good. Okay, smile. Good. Turn that just a smidge. There you go. Okay, good. Okay, thank
One
you.
looking this way, please. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you so much.
The second proclamation will be given by Supervisor Joel Anderson and myself, honoring young Black in business. Accepting the proclamation will be Roosevelt Williams III.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair Fletcher. Over the last 5 years, Young Black and in Business have been helping entrepreneurs build their professional network, meet new customers, and leverage the power of marketing. Young Black in Business continues to work together as a community to lift up fellow entrepreneurs in prosperity. This spirit to motivate and support an underserved community is something worthy of celebration. My eye is watering, and I'm having a hard time reading. Sorry about that. In the past couple of years, the need to support business has been greater than ever. Earlier this year, it was a pleasure to co-author a board letter with my fellow supervisor, Tara Lawson-Reamer, to award additional grants for small businesses affected by the pandemic. Most importantly, Young Black in Business are leaders for change as they promote career opportunities in local Black-owned businesses here in San Diego County. I truly appreciate the work you do, and we will continue to advocate and support economy prosperity for the County of San Diego. I want to thank my colleagues for being so supportive of this. I know personally how difficult it is to start a business, to keep that business running. You've worked through a pandemic, and I'm grateful for this Board of Supervisors for putting such a large focus on grants to small businesses to keep them alive and help them get back to employing all their former employees. So with that, Chairman Fletcher.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. You know, we're proud to recognize Black in Business, a social networking community that is devoted to the overlooked and underserved with a focus on helping entrepreneurship achieve financial freedom. In 2015, Roosevelt Williams III founded Young Black in Business to uplift his entrepreneurial community in hopes of creating a healthy, happy, and sustainable entrepreneurial environment. And in its 6 years of existence, it's done just that. Young Black in Business provides entrepreneurs with high-value exposure opportunities to expand their professional network and help them expand into legacy businesses. Young Black in Business is providing entrepreneurs a pathway to building generational wealth and preparing entrepreneurs for a profitable future. You know, we recognize that good ideas come from everywhere. Good ideas are present everywhere. But what is not present everywhere is knowing someone to help you get a patent, knowing someone to help you with your legal things, knowing an accountant or a financial analyst. And so the ability to come in and provide these networking services, because good ideas come out of every single community, and provide some of that support and help so those individuals can achieve their full potential is a vital thing. And I think, Mr. Williams, the work you're doing here is to be applauded. And I'm pleased to join Supervisor Anderson here, officially declaring it your very own day and recognize and uplift the work you do. And we're pleased to welcome you to the County of San Diego.
Thank you, Chair. May I have my team come up? Everyone, a part of our network, Thank you. Wonderful. It's a huge honor to receive this proclamation because honestly, 7 years ago, I was sleeping in my Jeep and taking showers at the beach. So I had to create a new business model. So young is a state of mind. As you can see, we have members of all ages in our network. There is no age limit. The color black is a double entendre, meaning it has two meanings. So yes, we provide educational, instructional, entrepreneurial content to early emerging entrepreneurs. And the insight that we provide brings them out of the darkness. So when they go through our program, they're actually young, enlightened, and in business. And we define business as providing a solution for a problem that makes a profit. So Young Black in the Business is an eclectic meritocracy. We have individuals that wear suits, and we also have individuals that wear steel-toe boots. Everyone at Young Black in the Business lives by the motto: we start with a commitment, we deliver with quality, and we always finish with success. Our goal at Young Black in the Business is to make our long journey the next generation's shortcut. So at this time, I'd like to invite everyone that's here, everyone that's viewing, to our gala that'll be held on Sunday, December 5th at Saquon Casino. We have the illustrious Carlin Chavez. She's going to be our mistress of ceremonies. We have our chief marketing officer. She's putting together a wonderful program, and our network is our net worth. So with no further more, in conclusion, you can find more at joinybmb.com. And the Young Black in the Business motto for 2022 is we're going from brick and mortar to click and order. Thank you.
Let's give you your thing here. Come on back. Bring your whole crew. Got it back. Not gonna do here.
I'll get it back this time.
Come on here too. That was 30 years ago. Come on in the center here. Here, why don't you hold it? Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, excuse me, ma'am, you are short, and I am sorry, you are not being seen. You can't be short and be in the back.
Oh, no, you gotta get it up here.
Come on.
There's no hiding in this group.
Come on, you work in the other one. Okay, so we're gonna take a picture real quick. You, over that way, there, right there. You seeing everybody's face?
We need her
Come
on our
on in.
side.
Okay, hold tight. Come out just a smidge.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, we're good. Can you turn in, maybe?
All right, here we go.
Don't worry about it. Turn this way. Thank you. I want to turn her in. Okay, good. All right, you want to go?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, we'll take turns. Okay, good. Good, good. Can you turn your body? Yeah, just relax your shoulders. There we go. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Good. One more.
Okay, y'all, here we go.
Okay,
Right
go
here.
ahead.
Relax, come on. Good.
One look at this way, please.
Last
One,
Right here.
two, last one, I promise. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, you're
Wait a minute, 1 second.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all.
Where is his phone?
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
I told you, tell you your phone.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. The next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Nora Vargas, honoring Southwestern College Veteran Resource Center. Accepting the proclamation will be J.D. White.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning. It feels like afternoon. It's so wonderful to be here today and to be able to recognize the Southwestern College Veterans Resource Center. Many of you know, I talk about this often, you know, I went to Southwestern College and I served on the Board of Trustees for over 7 years, I think it was. But one of the things that most people don't know about is that Southwestern College Veterans Resource Center is really one of the jewels of Southwestern College. The work that they do to serve our active duty service veterans, military affiliated students in the South Bay, and helping them pursue their educational career goals is like no other. The Veterans Resource Center at Southwestern College is celebrating 8 years, and we are honored to recognize the significant and positive impact it's had on our students, our community, and the services that they provide. They've established a network of community and military organizations together, providing ongoing support, a wide variety of resources through their local partnerships, access to peer-to-peer networking, financial assistance through its veteran scholarships, and a holistic approach to care and support for our South Bay military families. And despite Veterans Day being last week, where we all stand up and honor our family, friends, and loved ones in the armed forces and their services to our country, we want to again recognize the 11th day of November 2021 by the County of San Diego as a day to honor all veterans throughout the region. But today I want to thank J.D. White from Southwestern College for being here today to say a few words in accepting this proclamation. So we're so happy to give this to you. So here you go. Thank you. Oh, wait. I can take a picture. I was going to let you speak first.
Okay.
But okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the veterans from Southwestern College and South Bay, at Southwestern College, our veterans, our military-affiliated students, and our active duty, although I stand here alone, I am not alone. We have many veterans that come to Southwestern College. to seek the next chapter in their life as they pursue their educational journey and wherever that may take them. For you veterans out there that may be listening, I want you to know Southwestern College cares. We're here to help. With our Veterans Resource Center and our partners like Feeding San Diego, Courage to Call, Mental Health System San Diego, and many more. We thank you, and it's such an honor to be here and accept this on behalf of our veterans, active duty, and military families that support them. So thank you very much for having us. It's a great honor to be here, so thank you. How's my hair?
You're fabulous. No, turn towards, like, come out a little bit. There you go. Perfect. Good. One more.
Come on. All right. I zoomed out, don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next proclamation will be given by Supervisor Lawson Reamer, honoring Mental Health America San Diego. Accepting the proclamation will be Daphne Watson.
Good to see you. 1 in 5 San Diegans live with a mental health challenge. Unfortunately, far too many individuals do not receive the care that they need. It happens for a variety of reasons: access issues, stigma, lack of awareness, confusion about where to turn for help. So I'm honored to recognize Mental Health America San Diego and Daphne. Your work to reduce barriers and combat stigma saves lives. For example, your mental health first aid program trains people on how to respond to mental health needs with compassion and understanding. Youth suicide rates are rising, and investments in prevention, in addition to crisis response, are more important than ever. Your Strengthening Futures program provides therapeutic services to youth involved in the juvenile probation system and their families. Your reentry programs dramatically reduce recidivism and improve outcomes for justice-involved members of our community. MHASD is a leader in improving mental health and well-being across San Diego County. We are grateful for your work. Thank you. Welcome, Daphne Watson.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board and particularly Supervisor Lawson Reamer for this honor. Mental Health America is dedicated to improving the lives and emotional well-being of all San Diegans. One of our focus areas is communities of color who often struggle to obtain mental health. Several of our programs focus on prevention, early intervention, and treatment. And our spectrum goes from adults, youth, families, children. We advocate for the full spectrum of care. Like I said, we talk about prevention so we can slow down the rate of mental illness in our community, as well as making sure that we have quality treatment. We advocate for the variety of needs that all of our San Diegans have. And for those individuals who struggle with stigma, or those individuals who have not had access, we help to be their champion in making their voices and their ability to get care known. So I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for this recognition for our agency, and we appreciate the honor. Thank you. I want my team to come up. We got a crew of people.
Great. Let's move back a little
Back a little bit.
Oh, that's a few people.
Just a couple.
I'm not going to be able to. Can you come over here real quick? Just blocks everybody. Okay, perfect. Good. Okay, great. All right. Good. Good. Okay. Smile. Good. Good. Ready. Good. Let me just check the reflection real quick, please. Good. Okay, 2 more. Good. 1 more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next proclamation honoring National Injury Prevention Day will be given by Supervisor Desmond. Accepting the proclamation will be Lori Lynn.
Hey, good morning. This is Lorraine.
Last time we met, I had pink hair.
You had pink hair last time. That's why I didn't recognize you.
Water prevention.
Well, okay. Well, I just want to say today we are honoring National Injury Prevention Week. And Lorraine Lynn from Rady's Children's Hospital is here accepting the award. You know, injuries are the leading cause of death and disability to U.S. children ages 1 to 18. Every day, 20 children die from preventable diseases, resulting in more deaths than all other diseases combined. And this includes suffocation, hot cars, drowning, falling, motor vehicle accidents, and other accidents. Rady's Children's Hospital and Health System is the leader caring for children throughout San Diego County and is home to the Injury-Free Coalition for Kids. This supports safety and well-being of children across the community with community-oriented injury preventions and programs. And today, we are honoring National Injury Prevention Week. We've made a week out of it instead of just a day, by raising awareness and promoting efforts in reducing injuries among children. The National Injury Prevention Day will be week. It will be held on November 18th, and in San Diego County, we'll be declaring, like I said, the entire week National Injury Prevention Week. And to add to this celebration, we'll be lighting the County Administration Center, this building, out front with green lights tomorrow night. So therefore, be it proclaimed by all members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 16th day of November 2021 that we commend Injury-Free Coalition for Kids and do hereby declare National Injury Prevention Week throughout San Diego County. And we have Lorraine Lynn from Rady's Children's Hospital here. I'm going to present this to you. We'll have an applause, the pictures, and I'll let you speak. Hey, no, come on, we need applause.
Applause, come on.
Come on, here we go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Lorraine, we want to say a couple words?
Yeah, but you already said everything I was going to say. So thank you all for this. Really, some of the things that we do to reduce unintentional injuries is all about prevention. So teaching kids to swim. Drowning is our leading cause of unintentional injury. Teaching kids to swim and designating an adult to be the water watcher. To make sure that there is always keeping eyes on the kids. And when you're tired of wearing this tag, hand it to another adult so that they can take care of the kids. You know, giving infants a safe place to sleep, alone in their crib, with only a fitted sheet on their backs all the time. Getting child car seats inspected and installed by
certified child passenger technicians. And finally, leading by example when crossing a road by teaching children to cross only in the crosswalks and to be sure they cross with an adult. Each strategy requires that adults who are involved and are setting the safest examples for kids. By shining a green light on these preventable injuries, we can make our county a safe place for our children to grow and thrive. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, Lorraine. Thank you very much for all you do and all that Rady's Children's Hospital does as well. Also, just wanted to tag on here. Yesterday, I had the opportunity of presenting a proclamation honoring World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition Day. This disease has taken many lives, pancreatic cancer. I lost my brother earlier this year to pancreatic cancer. Larry Himmel, the father of Miles Himmel, and my staff also lost his father to pancreatic cancer. So Thursday is also World Pancreatic Cancer Day. Tomorrow night we'll be lighting the CAC building here green, and then on Thursday night we'll be lighting it purple in recognition of World Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Before we get into the rest of our agenda, I just want to highlight the board adopted some changes to the rules of procedure in order to better help facilitate our meeting, and these rules are now in effect. They include a couple things. One, we've adopted a code of civil discourse developed by the National Conflict Resolution Center. This means that we aim to create an inclusive environment where diverse perspectives are shared and considered, that individuals show respect for the ideas and views presented, even if there is disagreement. Individuals explain our positions fairly by presenting the facts behind them and avoiding personal attacks or other tactics that distract from the salient issues. We've adopted a more stringent position on harassment and abuse. This is an effort in order to protect our workers from a hostile work environment and to facilitate individuals who wish to express their point of view to express that point of view in a non-threatening way, in a non-harassing way, and a non-disruptive way. Consistent with that, the rules now prohibit disruptive conduct, such as uttering loud or threatening language, whistling, clapping, stamping of feet, speaking over or interrupting the recognized speaker, or other disruptive acts. This includes both individuals who are speaking as well as the audience members who are here in the chamber. We've made some additional changes around how we form the consent calendar and continuing to allow members of the public to present remotely. The aim and intention of all of these is to allow individuals to have a safe place to come and make sure their voice is heard. We're going to go into public comment and public speakers, and individuals are going to be allowed, as they always will be, to come up and express their point of view. But we are going to do it in non-threatening, harassing, and non-disruptive ways. And so we ask all the members of the public, when you come up to speak, to make your point of dissent, of disagreement, of agreement, to make whatever point it is you want to make, but in a way that is not harassing or threatening or creating a disruptive environment. And if we do that, then we're going to facilitate and have much more productive meetings moving forward. And so we welcome the public to come. We welcome disagreement. We welcome folks with different perspective. We welcome everyone here, but we're going to do it in an environment that ensures it is not a hostile place for our employees to be, and it is an environment that adheres to our code of conduct and standard moving forward. With that, we're going to move into non-agendized public communication. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on items that are not on today's agenda, but are within the board's purview. The only action the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get extra allotted time to facilitate translation. In order to facilitate our meetings, we will have 10 non-agendized public speakers, and then we will go on with the remainder of our agenda. We will come back to non-agendized public speakers if there are any remaining at the conclusion of the agenda. I'll ask the clerk to call forward our speakers.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 27 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 13 in person and 14 by phone. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and as the chair indicated, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Jeff Noway, Michael Brando, Mike Borello, William Keith, and Lana Cotton. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
My name is Jeff, and I thought I'd come back to this corrupt three-ring circus, mostly to see just how you attempt to enforce your new speech-stifling rules. No clapping. That's a good one. Don't you clap. Don't you dare clap. You sit there quietly. What a clown show. Oh, and now you can't speak on these agenda items over here. You can only speak on these agenda items over here. And if more than 10 of you are interested in one of the items over here, then we'll just stifle your speech further down to 60 seconds. What a joke. This is the Barnum and Bailey board. Oh, and no more using our audio-visual gear for presentations because you used it effectively to show what corrupt liars we are and that we violated the Nuremberg Code. Clown show. Every single time you react, Nathan, you dig your own hole deeper and deeper. So have at it. I'm surprised you haven't shut off the live feed yet. I suppose that's next. I'm sorry, but new rules or not, there's no stopping the truth from getting out at this point. Now, I'm not saying that people haven't gotten ill, but COVID-19, the virus, does not exist. It has never been isolated, never. The PCR test is not a diagnostic tool. With its 97% false positives, it is perfect for this scam. You want more cases, Jim? You just turn up the amplifications. You want less, Joel? You just turn it down. Remdesivir, the ventilators, the hospital protocol have been killing folks, flat out. These illegally mandated shots are purposefully deadly. Unless someone gets injected with a placebo, they are stuck with clotting issues, neurological issues, sterility, and autoimmune disease. This entire fraudulent house of cards is going to come crashing down, and each of you involved in it is going to crash with it. Count on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right. I know it's going to take a little time, but we're not clapping from the audience, so it's all right. Let's try again. Yes, sir. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. To the chairperson.
Sir, can you please state your name for the audio record?
I'm William. My name is Mr. William, and my last name is Keith.
Thank you.
To the chairperson and to the San Diego County Board of Supervisors and your constituents, I thank all for the opportunity to voice my concerns. After I read my brief prepared statement, I will be open to any questions or comments. I am a 65-year-old former inmate, honorably discharged veteran who has witnessed firsthand a foul culture, a foul environment created by the medical insurance carrier and custody for the San Diego County jail system. My first arrest was in the late 1970s, off and on through the whole year of 2013. I have also witnessed the untimely deaths of way too many inmates, specifically at the George Bailey Detention Facility. The unchecked numbers of those whom continue to die speak for themselves. I asked the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, along with those powers that may be, to open a fair and impartial investigation. I also asked that the San Diego County Jail Medical Services insurance carrier be put into the hands of a reputable independent contractor. I asked for Sheriff Gore to be removed. I asked for all sheriff deputies and medical staff to be retrained if they can be. I asked for real accountability and transparency. I wonder if the San Diego County Board of Supervisors or your constituents had this many dead bodies on your watch, would you still be employed?
Thank you, sir.
At this time,
thank you.
I thank the chairperson, the County Board of Supervisors, and your constituents in advance.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you.
Mike Barolo, Carlsbad. And I came today to inform the board and the HHS, and I will send a written description of what I'm about to present. Came to my attention recently, a study done in Sweden and published in the Journal of Viruses, having to do with longer-term effects of the actually the spike protein. So spike protein can be created either by the SARS-CoV-2 virus or by the vaccine itself, manufactured in the body. What these researchers found in Sweden is that the spike protein is actually knocking out mechanisms in the cell that protect or act to adaptively correct damage in the DNA. Our DNA is every day under threat of damage by chemical, radiation, and other influences. And what they found here in this study is the vaccine is a threat to the genetic code in the cell. So what we're looking at here potentially over long periods of time by knocking out this mechanism is a long-term increase in cancer or other genomic illnesses. This is another reason, besides the 18,000 plus deaths that have occurred to date as of VAERS last week due to the COVID vaccines. And we're looking at causation here on the vaccines, but now we're looking at potential long-term effects. So the evidence is coming in. The problem is the policies are moving too quickly for the science. We're making decisions too quickly and not taking care.
Lana Cotton, Board. In the last meeting, Mr. Fletcher, you reprimanded your constituents as if they were naughty children and then incited the resulting explosive exchange between the board and the speakers. Ms. Vargas, after a grossly out-of-line comment, you reciprocated with profanity. Ms. Lawson-Remer, you injected your family into a defensive tirade. We American patriots expect, no, demand nothing less than complete integrity and professionalism from their elected officials. Patriots. The supervisors have seemingly predetermined positions before the meetings, so we are beating a dead horse. We need a new strategy. Please consider a new offense. No, I'm not advocating leaving the old, of voicing our opinions at meetings, but adding to it. First, invite 1, 2, 10 people to these meetings and every rally that you can possibly attend. We also need to take to the streets as we did on November 3rd. If New York, France, Italy, Australia, and others can protest in huge numbers, we must too. Next, consider becoming a precinct leader. Doesn't take a lot of time and you can vote on candidates to put on the ballot. Most of these positions are still not filled. Go to precinctstrategy.com and check it out. We have some brilliant speakers among us who amaze me every week with their eloquence and knowledge of the Constitution, who could run for office and represent us well. If a retired truck driver can unseat a sitting Senate president in New Jersey, I'm convinced some of you could too. Many of you have better ideas that could be implemented that would help us save America. Now is the time for all Americans to get off the couch and do something. We have been asleep at the wheel for decades, so it is going to take some time and hard work to reclaim our country and restore it to what the Founding Fathers envisioned, a constitutional republic governed by citizen representatives, not lifelong politicians. So let's get creative, let's get coordinated, let's push forward, and let's battle our modern day tyrants with action, action, action.
Hey, sir, in the fourth row, your clapping is interrupting and disrupting the conduct of the meeting. We need you to please refrain. This is your first warning. Please, next speaker.
My name is Michael. These comments address health. They all tie together by the end. Again, I'm going to address paradox. The last 20 months, this board and its so-called public health agents have done everything that is contrary to health. Lies. Lies do not support health. The Hebrew scripture talks about God setting before us life or death. A pattern that's been shown here is that all kinds of flowery language is used to present as if people are concerned about other people's health, when it's the exact opposite that's occurring. One thing we should all consider is eternal health, eternal safety. There are always consequences for all of us as individuals, and that can't be escaped. But when we know there is a loving God that really truly loves each one of us, it makes the change inside of us that much easier to do. And we know that we're supported and loved, and that's what really brings community together to create a whole new picture of reality that will be one and is one that we can all celebrate. And I offer that to you to consider today. God bless you.
We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. Be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You will then need to press *6 to unmute your phone. Each caller will be asked to state their name for the audio record. Again, you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And if you could please identify the first caller.
Our first caller is 1861. 1861.
Hello, my name is Kevin Stevenson. I would like to thank the board for changing the way that you conduct these meetings. I think it's important to give this board positive reinforcement amid all of the bad faith attacks coming from the paid crisis actors along with KQSI. Don't let them get them down. Don't let them get you down.
Sir, we're going to pause your time. All right, the individual in the 4th row, look, you know the rules. We started the meeting talking about what the rules were. We talked about what is disruptive. This is now, that's fine, but you're still violating the rules. Whether you recognize them or not, you are willfully and knowingly violating the rules of procedure, and you're disrupting the conduct of the meeting. So this is your second warning. If you do it again, you're going to be removed, and I don't want that. I want you to be able to say, speak, share your point of view, but this is now the second time you willfully and knowingly violated the rules, which have been outlined repeatedly for what they are. So it's your second warning. Ask our speaker to please resume your comments in time.
Don't let these people get you down. Keep up the good work. Also, a quick follow-up to my statement in regards to item 11 last meeting. KUSI shared the clip of my comment on their Twitter account and made me out to be crazy because I know that mentioning Second Amendment rights in regards to going against an elected government board means shooting and maybe killing them. KUSI made a pathetic attempt at both sidesism. They made Jason Robo out to be a lone rogue individual and ignored the loud cheers and laughter he got. Meanwhile, they got angry at me for calling out both Robo and Louis Ardell. Speaking of Ardell, on KUSI's Twitter thread, he wrote, quote, "Sorry, pal, 2A is there for a reason. Once again, someone not saying it to my face." Ardell basically proved me right, but conveniently, KUSI did not attack him the way they attacked me. Also, to the lady with the spotted shirt who spoke earlier, please don't tone police our board. Not on Nora's watch. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 9887. 9887. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Carol Green, and I'm a South Bay resident. A recent study of parents across California showed that their #1 concern was their children's mental health, not academics, not even sports, not physical health, but mental health. And today you honored the Mental Health in America group, and I applaud you for that. I know that the San Diego Board of Supervisors has been talking about mental health for some time, and it is often at the top of your list of concerns. Yet, the significant mental health impact of marijuana use on young people is never mentioned in any county reports about the upcoming marijuana ordinance. Multiple studies, and I'm happy to send you the links to all these studies, about marijuana use in adolescents shows that nearly triple the odds of adult anxiety disorder. Study after study reveal the link between psychosis and marijuana, and the question of which came first is being answered more and more. Out of the 5 most recent studies, 4 determined that marijuana use significantly increased for subsequent psychosis. The 5th showed a link but couldn't determine what came first. Another review of 35 studies revealed an increase in the risk of psychosis of about 40% in participants who had ever used marijuana, and 50 to 200% increase for people who used more heavily. I would like to sincerely ask that each of you research real journal articles and get real information before this ordinance goes through. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 7159. 7159, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm Mark Wilcox, a father, grandfather, and advocate for youth. I would like to share with you a problem that happened in a local San Diego city. In this city's planning department, there is a designated staff member that handles the marijuana business applications. Concerned citizens found out that the planning department specialist in handling marijuana applicants had left the city's employ and was now working for the marijuana industry. While I'm not suggesting that this person would have been predisposed to work in a biased manner on marijuana business applications while entertaining the job offer to work for the marijuana businesses. However, this illustrates one of the huge problems for cities and potentially this county if they begin permitting marijuana businesses. There is a lot of money involved, and sometimes this money becomes too enticing. Last week, the LA Times lead story was entitled, "SoCal Officials Are Focus of Federal Probe of Pot Licensing." The story goes on to describe the FBI involvement in this unraveling situation. The FBI is investigating. Youth, neighborhoods, businesses, and residents and the city were not protected from this industry, and I hope that we will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 8672. 8672, please press *6 to unmute.
Ready? Good afternoon, Board. My name is Amber Long. I just wanted to state last meeting when herd immunity was brought up by Desmond, Wilma Wooten got pretty nervous and started to talk herself in circles, not really making any sense. She said, "We can't reach herd immunity because the population 12 and under don't have the vaccine available to them." Well, that's changed now. She also said the majority of the population has to get the vaccine in order to reach herd immunity. Does 12 and under make up the majority of the population? No, it doesn't. Our 18 and under population make up roughly 20% of San Diego County. So how does 12 and under not being vaccinated prevent us from herd immunity? It doesn't. It seems to me that you might be lying, Ms. Wooten. As to why you're still listening to Fauci is baffling to me as well. Fauci is a fraud. It is known that he participated in funded gain of function. Why are you going off of someone who is bringing forth biological warfare on the population? Vargas, I wanted to say sorry for the way you were treated last meeting. It's not our job to judge you for your health decisions, but it's also not your job to judge us for ours. You and Fletcher go back and forth talking crap on us on social media, demeaning us, as we take time out of our lives to show up and tell you how uncomfortable we are with what's going on, and you guys just talk crap. I feel bad for what happened, but I hope you reflect on what happened and think before you start calling people names and shame them, as it seems you don't quite like it done to you. I don't want to take time out of my life to battle you guys, but it is my duty as a citizen. I'm from Vista. I hate driving, especially in San Diego. I hate paying for parking. I'd rather be working on my go-kart. I'm in the process of rebuilding, working on my shed roof. I'd rather be building the tool station I've always wanted or building out my outdoor exercise area. Instead, I spend my time fighting you guys and pushing back against tyranny. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 7234. 7234. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. As a parent of 3 young adult sons, I've spoken here regarding our students' mental health needs. I am thrilled that you are recognizing mental health here today. Thank you, Mental Health America.
Can you please state your name for the audio record?
Yes, Terry Ann Skelly.
Thank you.
Recently, KPBS reported that at Rady Children's Hospital, officials are reporting a 25% increase in mental health visits to their emergency room. Willow Jenkins, a child psychiatrist and the inpatient medical director at Rady's, reported, and I quote, "Even before the pandemic, mental health was in crisis for our youth. Our numbers have been going up every single year, so I don't see this going down. Rady's has a 24-bed inpatient mental health unit, which has been full. During the pandemic, the new psychiatric emergency room called Copley Psychiatric Emergency Department was opened," end quote. For those of us who are on the front line of students' mental health, and I thank Mental Health America, we need to underscore the role that marijuana plays in exacerbating mental health. Fletcher's and Vargas's proposal to enable more marijuana storefronts countywide will have an unfortunate impact on youth by promoting and normalizing its use. Thank you for your consideration, because our students can ill afford more adult insensitivity to their mental health needs. Thank you.
For the remaining callers that requested to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, please hang up and call back at the conclusion of the session. Chair Fletcher, again, the remaining requests under non-agenda public communication will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the minute statement of proceedings for the November 2nd, 2021 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? All right. We have a motion by myself, second by Vice Chair Vargas. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We'll now proceed with the formation of our consent calendar. What I'm going to do first is go to my colleagues and ask if there's any items they wish to be pulled for discussion item, removed from consent for discussion. After we do that, we'll hear from the public speakers who wish to speak on the consent agenda, and then we will come back and vote after we've heard from the public speakers. Let me begin with Supervisor Anderson. Are there any items you wish to be pulled for discussion?
Yes, please, 11 and 18.
Okay, 18 is already a discussion item, and we will add 11 to the discussion item. Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
No, thank you.
Supervisor Desmond.
None to pull, but I'd like to comment on 2.
Please.
Okay. On consent item number 1, this is receiving an update on developing a plan for services for K through 12 youth. I just want to thank our District Attorney, Summer Steffen, and her staff for their great work on this case and getting millions of dollars to our schools and to our youth. These funds are going to have a positive impact on San Diego County's youth, and I applaud District Attorney Summer Steffen and her team for a job well done. On item 12, this is authorization to apply for and accept grant funding related to economic prosperity. I want to say thank you to our staff. Thank you very much, Helen and company, for finding these grants to help our local businesses and community members. We've got the ARPA dollars, but now we've got other dollars under the grants that staff is continuing to go look for so we can help businesses get through the COVID economy here. I think it's great. The more we can do to support our local businesses, the better, especially those hit by the COVID shutdown. So thank you very much to staff. That's all I have.
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Vice Chair Vargas.
I don't need anything to pull, but I just wanted to also make a comment on item number 12. I want to thank county staff for their efficiency in looking for funding opportunities for economic prosperity, community development, economic relief for our region. I know it's been a hard road for so many in our community, but I know that our binational community is resilient. We've seen this community come together and support each other in most difficult times, so I'm thrilled that you are all looking for other ways that we can bring additional resources into our region. That's exactly what the Office of Economic Prosperity is supposed to be doing, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I don't have any items to pull. I want to speak in support of item 5, our behavioral health services contracts. We all know someone who has been impacted by addiction, by issues of substance abuse or mental health illness or injury. and someone who may need help, drug or alcohol counseling, someone who may need a therapist, a psychiatrist, someone who just needs help kind of managing through the difficulties of their lives. And the action we're taking today is another part of a really broad and aggressive effort to provide a better way to deliver behavioral health services, to reach people in need, to fund real services that are helping real people on the streets throughout what we're doing. We're approving millions of dollars in funding, but we're approving a lot of lives that will be touched. And at the end of the day, it's not about the dollar amount we spend in the programs we do. It is about the lives that we touch. And everything we're doing here is rooted in dignity and respect in an effort to find a better way to help folks live a fulfilled life. And I appreciate all of the work that has been going on surrounding this issue. I also want to speak in support of Agenda Item 12. I was proud to work with Vice Chair Vargas to bring forward an effort to create a really focused effort around prosperity and small business and economic opportunity. Our economy faces some real challenges right now. We've got inflationary periods with costs becoming uncomfortably high. That's having an impact on individuals. We have some instability in the labor market in terms of what's happening, and a big part of what we need to do is connecting people to opportunities and ensuring that folks are put in the best position to be able to compete, especially folks who have not always had a seat at the table or been in line for help and assistance. And the state microbusiness relief grants will help support expansion and hiring. And I think that this will have a really positive impact in our community. I look forward to monitoring the work and assessing the work and seeing where we go from here. With that, our items for discussion today will be items 11, 18, 19, and 20. I will have the clerk confirm that is right, and then the rest of the items will be on the consent calendar, which we will adopt after we hear from the public speakers. So I'll have the clerk confirm those 4 items have been removed from consent. Everything else is on consent, and then we will call forward the public speakers to speak to consent.
That is correct, Chair Fletcher, and I'll also note for the record that item 20 is a time-certain item that will be heard at 6 p.m. this evening. With that, we have 10 requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, 6 in person and 4 by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone on items on the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. Those in opposition, as your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Audra, Chad Harmon Vivas, Jason Robo, Dan Gaskins, Mark Dorian, and Kristen Vent. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You may come forward in any order.
Hello, Mark Dorian. I noticed on your agenda you're talking about educating the public K through 12. The Stanford study showed statistically that 0.0027% of children die from COVID. It's 1 out of 121,000, actually over that. In the 8 leading causes of death, they're literally drowning, which you guys mentioned in today's injuring children discussion, is at the top. Car accidents are after that. The only thing lower than COVID is dying from riding a bicycle. When you do the stats of the VAERS report, it's statistically predictable and probable that there will be 12 to 16,000 VAERS reports on children, serious adverse events, whereas they have literally no danger from death and very, very little danger from any other long-term effects. Very, extremely insignificant. It's predictable that it will do much, much more damage than good. And I hope you'll educate the public on this. These are from your own statistics, from the CDC and the Stanford report. The VAERS, it's over 778,000 reports. That's the only thing we have to go by. And when you do the math, there's going to be perhaps 16,000 children with serious VAERS problems when almost no one in that age group is affected. I hope you'll educate them.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Dan Gaskins.
When it comes to long-term testing, this mRNA technology is brand new, meaning anyone who has taken the vaccine at this point are the long-term trial. It does not matter, CDC approved, FDA approved, for emergency purposes, you are the long-term trial. Because of their manufactured fear pushed upon the entire world through their media apparatus, you are choosing to be their guinea pigs, all because of a weaponized man-made virus that's got a death rate not much higher than the common flu. Now, our self-appointed government officials, through their corrupt government elections, are not only mandating that all government employees submit to being Big Pharma's guinea pigs, but are now mandating that all parents subject their children to a substance that may cause long-term health issues in spite of what the lying media wants you to believe. If you want to have faith in Big Pharma and not in your God-given immune system, that is your right and your choice. For your information, everyone, the vaccine contains an ingredient called luciferase. We live in the United States of America where we all have choice and the freedom to choose. I served 4 years honorably in the United States Marine Corps to defend those freedoms, and I am not going to stop now. Personally, what I feel is going on is these self-appointed government officials who are not legitimately elected in the first place are getting kickbacks just like doctors have been for years from Big Pharma. You only need to look at the international fentanyl crisis to see that Big Pharma does not care about your health and that it's all about profits over people. They think of themselves as the elite class, and we are all their subjects. Of course, Big Pharma's game is to get us on their pill treadmills. The way they start us on that treadmill is by subjecting us to their long-term...
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Sir, your time has expired. Next speaker, please. Sir, your continued outbursts are disrupting the conduct of the meeting. I'm going to ask the deputies to escort this individual out of the meeting. This is your third time that you've been disrupting the conduct of the meeting. You have been warned. I'm going to ask the deputies to please remove this individual from the chambers. No, sir, you're done. You can leave.
Have a nice day, everyone. God bless America. I'm standing up for you guys, too.
Let's go. Next speaker. Next speaker, sir. Thank you.
I'm standing up for all of us. God bless America.
Hello, Board of Tyrants. I'm Chad. Last time I was here, everybody listed all these countless deaths and thousands of people who have had heart attacks, blood clots, and brain injuries from this vaccine. But of course you don't care because that seems to be its intended purpose. The same people that believe the world is overpopulated want to supposedly save our lives with this experimental injection. It seems to be working. That's what it's doing. It is all part of this moving forward of the Great Reset, and of course, Nathan, you're on the board, or you're on the World Economic Forum, so you know all about that. You're supposed to take an oath to defend our Constitution. As a Marine, you're supposed to take an oath to defend the Constitution, and one thing our Constitution makes clear is that our rights are given to us by God, not by government, and our rights are naturally we already have them. The Constitution secures those rights, and anything that goes against the Constitution is null and void. Mandates are not laws. What is it? It's Marbury versus Madison made clear that all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Article 14 of the Constitution states that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any deprive a person of life, liberty, and property without due diligence of law, nor to deny any person with his jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. These mandates violate the Constitution. They're killing thousands of people. I shared accounts of family members and friends who have brain injuries and heart attacks, and you guys expect people to comply anyway. No one has an obligation to apply with a mandate that goes against the Constitution. These mandates are illegal, and our rights are given to us by God, and everything you're doing with these mandates are completely illegal. I mean, you don't care that thousands of people are dying from a vaccine? This is completely ridiculous, and nothing can stop the awakening of humanity.
Jason Robo.
Filed for K through 12. I thought I'd be able to speak on other items, so I'll wait for my non-agenda. But yeah, for K through 12, the children have virtually zero risk from COVID. A few hundred children died, and they were severely immune compromised. And this is an example, as I've said before, about zero risk bias, where you're overreacting to a minor threat. Childhood obesity is completely insane. Your lockdowns have made it worse. And also child abuse has persisted because it's usually detected by teachers. And I think that exercise should be an essential part of whatever you're going to do with these funds. The government recommends 20 minutes a day, which they downgraded from 60 to 90 because they lowered the bar for us, but the only time they raise the bar is when they're playing limbo. Don't laugh, anybody. And farming, I think, would be a good thing, teaching self-sufficiency, because we should be a sustainable bioregion, as we're seeing now with the issues of COVID and the shipping containers. And I urge anybody to check out John Taylor Gatto's work on education, about how the schooling is made to make people independent and not be able to think for themselves. And that is part of how we've gotten to this point where people are so desperate to take care of themselves that they don't do any work and will just take a shot or like a magic pill. And yeah, I think the children were treated by adults by John Taylor Gatto. They weren't treated like children, and it made them pretty badass kids. And they did internships, and the businesses they worked for couldn't get enough of them. Phone-free activities should also be a thing as well, because that's a problem. And recently, the Fifth Circuit Court said that rather than a delicately handled scalpel, the mandate is a one-size-fits-all sledgehammer, makes hardly attempt to account for differences in workplaces or workers that have more than little bearing on workers' varying degrees of susceptibility to the supposedly grave danger the mandate purports to address. So the courts are ruling against these mandates, and you should pay attention, or obviously you're traitors.
Yeah. You're happy, Nathan, because you just stuck 17 items in one, giving us like 8 seconds per item. How is that some way that people can redress their grievances with you guys? It's not. It's the way to silence the people, because you don't like hearing the truth, which is really sad, because people come here to address you because of you're in charge of things that are going on in this county. I mean, Helen, you are too. All of you guys are making decisions on our behalf, and we have every right to come in here and tell you how we feel about it. It doesn't, free speech has no bounds. It's not free if there's boundaries to it. And you guys are silencing the people even more. I mean, you let that guy call in and talk shit about all of us. I mean, it's okay for him to do that. You even silenced somebody so he could continue. Yet you want to silence us in here. We can't even, I mean, you won't even look at me now. You thought it was funny because, oh, I only got 2 minutes. There's 17. How are we ever going to be able to address anything in that amount of time? It's impossible. And that's exactly what you want, is to shut us up. Then you need to leave that position, because we're here because we have every right to be here to address these things that are concerning to the county. I mean, especially the vaccines. Now you just want to take that fully out and discriminate against your own employees while you're complaining about discrimination. You guys are the ones doing it. You called and left voicemails for the employees in the county, and you sent out emails talking about discrimination, all while you discriminate against all of the people in this county. I mean, when is enough enough? And that man saying that we're going to come in and shoot you guys, has that ever been a threat? Did I ever say I'm going to shoot you? No. But I'm worried about my family and the people that come in here. People are dying, and you're ignoring that.
Thank you. I'll note for the record that that speaker was Audra. Final call for Kristen Vent. Kristen Vent.
Ma'am, your outbursts are disrupting the conduct of the meeting. Ma'am, this is your first warning. Your conduct is disruptive to the conduct of the meeting. Please stop.
We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone in the consent calendar. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You'll then need to press *6 to unmute your line. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record, and I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And if you could please identify the callers.
Our first caller is 1861. 1861. Please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, this is Kevin Stevenson again. First off, I would like to speak in favor of item number 11. I think that the hybrid model of the option to show up either in person or over Zoom is very convenient for most people.
Excuse me, sir. I want to stop you for a second. Item 11 has been pulled for discussion. It's not on consent, so we need you to make your comments to the consent calendar. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, our next caller is 1415. 1415, please press *6 to unmute. 1415. Please press *6 to unmute.
Paul Hinken, good morning. Nathan, some items on the consent calendar are neither routine nor administrative. Why are all of the items from 1 to 17 as blocked on the consent calendar? Let me go through them. Item 1, education services by the district attorney. I'm really not sure why the DA needs to educate K-12 kids. And the board letter cites funding of $37,000 coming from fines. So where's the rest of the $250,000 to pay for this coming from? Item 6, behavioral health board bylaws. I think that changing the county administrative code to allow people with potential employment conflicts of interest to participate on the advisory board is just asking for trouble. Item 8, Health and Human Services Agency Sunset Review. The Sunset Review should be in less than 7 years, ideally every year or even sooner if conditions warrant. Item 9, concerning our schedule for upcoming meetings of the board. There are too few meetings. Board meetings should be every 2 weeks except for July on major holidays and bathroom breaks. Item 10, Neighborhood Reinvestment Program grants. This seems to be a list of pet projects, not a proposal to benefit the entire community, including us, whose taxes pay for all this. Allocation for marketing.
Thank you.
Campaign.
Thank you. And that concludes the request to speak on the items on the consent calendar this morning, Chair Fletcher.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the balance of the items. Is there a second? Thank you. We have a motion by myself, second by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We're going to move into our discussion items. We're going to take agenda item 19 first, and then we'll come back and do 11 and 18. After that, agenda item 19 is an item brought forward by myself and Vice Chair Vargas, and I'll go first to Vice Chair Vargas to make some introductory comments.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I'm very proud to be introducing this board letter with you today. In the 1970s, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, also known as CEDAW, was adopted by the UN General Assembly, representing the most important human rights treaty for women. CEDAW consists of a preamble of 30 articles, which defines what constitutes discrimination against women and sets forth an agenda for action to end such discrimination. CEDAW provides the basis for realizing equality between women and men through ensuring women's equal access to and equal opportunities in political and public life, as well as education, health, and employment. In 1980, President Carter signed CEDAW, but the treaty has never actually brought forth to the full Senate for a vote. To date, the United States is one of only a handful of other nations, including Iran and Somalia, that has yet to ratify the treaty. That said, several cities and counties throughout the United States have taken action to adopt a local ordinance that reflects the principles of CEDAW to work towards the elimination of all discrimination against women. This is important to me, not only as the first Latina and first woman of color to serve as a supervisor here in the County of San Diego, but because I'm really interested in and committed to creating systemic change. I know that by supporting the action today for our county to develop its own CEDA ordinance, we take a major first step in advancing gender equality and human rights for women, girls, and transgender women. As someone who has dedicated her life to removing barriers for underserved communities through civic engagement, public policy, and community organizing, I cannot be prouder of this moment today. Across numerous sectors of our society, it is undeniable that discrimination against women exists in this day and age, and as a result, women are facing greater barriers in some cases, leading to greater hardship. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic, we witnessed great challenges that women face every day. The COVID-19 pandemic hit women hard, especially Black, Latinx, and immigrant women. Even prior to the pandemic, women were likely to earn low wages, face significant gender wage gap, and were primarily responsible for most of the caregiving duties for their families. While there is no doubt that progress has been made towards addressing existing issues, the truth is that there is much more that remains to be done to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women across sectors. By developing our own local CEDA ordinance, using these principles of CEDA, we have an opportunity to address these drivers that are blocking women from opportunities. We have an opportunity to advance and invest in bold policy solutions to make sure that women, particularly women of color, immigrant women, and LGBTQ women can thrive. Other cities and counties have adopted CEDA ordinances and our resolution stating their commitment to address the elimination of discrimination against women, and it's time for San Diego County to adopt its own ordinance as well. I want to acknowledge that the San Diego County's Commission on the Status of Women and Girls has been leading the effort to identify the needs and problems of women and girls in the county and to eliminate the practice of discrimination and prejudice against women and girls. With that, I think it's critical that our county develop its own CEDA ordinance to eliminate the discrimination of women in our region, but also create opportunities for women to succeed. And with that, I would like to make a motion to support, to approve.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas. I'm happy to second that motion. I'm really proud to join Vice Chair Vargas in bringing this item forward. A proposal to address gender discrimination in our county. Discrimination in any form is unacceptable. And as a board, we've been working on so many policies designed to ensure folks have open and access to all of the opportunities available in life. Women and girls in particular, women and girls of color experience discrimination that impacts their health, their livelihood, their well-being, their financial ability, and so many other things. This proposal directs staff to work with the Commission on the Status of Women to draft a local CDOC, Convention on Discrimination Against Women ordinance to look into issues impacting women within the county enterprise and the region. Start the process to create a gender equity strategy to help guide the implementation of this ordinance upon its adoption. Our own Office of Equity and Racial Justice can play a vital role in ensuring that this is all done in an inclusive way. And I appreciate, again, Vice Chair Vargas for championing this cause. I appreciate our Commission on the Status of Women and Girls who have been advocating for many years for the county to take this important step in action, and I'm pleased to be here today. We'll go to our public speakers, and then we'll come back to several of my colleagues who wish to make comments as well.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Excuse me. We have 11 requests to speak on this item, 5 in person and 6 by phone. Also note for the record that we received 11 e-comments on this item, all in favor. Any individuals that requested to speak by phone on item 19, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker. All of these individuals are in opposition to the item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Audra, Kristen Vent, Consuelo, Nemo, and Jason Robo. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You may come forward in any order.
Audra, this is funny. It's real funny. Women are being discriminated against, and you need to call in the UN. I mean, that sounds logical to you. They should be here because you're trying to force vaccinate everybody. That's the kind of discrimination we face. This is a joke. It's despicable what you guys are up to. And then you're gonna silence the people. And let's put all this bullshit agenda items up and then not let the people address them, and let's just pass them so that we can continue down the road that we're going. I mean, it's a disgrace. Like, this is embarrassing to know that you're leaders of this county. And you know where you're leading it? Straight into the ground. It's ridiculous. And you sit up there like you're on a high horse, like, oh yeah, we're doing this. We're gonna do whatever we want. We don't care what the people say. It doesn't matter. We're gonna base our decisions off of what we want, instead of listening to the people saying, oh, it's all the unvaccinated, they're being discriminated against. Oh, but that doesn't exist, that's misinformation. But it's women. Oh no, we're being discriminated against. And Black people, and gays. Like, when are we gonna address the real discrimination going on? I mean, it's like a joke. I mean, it's actually funny because it's so sad and disgusting that you guys can do this and act like what you're doing is so great. We're doing it for the betterness. Live well, San Diego, all while we're creating, you're just destroying everything. I know you're looking at the time, and when's she gonna be done? Thank you.
My name is Kristen Bent. I am, like Audra, embarrassed to be standing in front of you having to talk about bringing the freaking United Nations in over discrimination against women. I'm a woman. I've never been discriminated against in my entire life. I've never seen it happen. And I've lived in San Diego County for 32 years. I've been an active member in every community I've been a part of. I have not heard reports of it. What are you doing and how are you guys sleeping with yourselves at night? We are a sovereign nation in this country, and you have no right to bring in the United Nations. We are a self-determined people. We put you in power, or actually did we? I don't know. I don't think we did. I really don't think we did. Yeah, so funny, isn't it, Nathan? Isn't it funny the way you're fucking the people of San Diego? Isn't it funny that they don't even notice? Oh, we notice. We notice royally. And you know what? When the time is right, you will all be removed.
Hi, Nemo. I'm a United States citizen. Y yo tampoco no me han discriminado a mí. No condenan a Antifa cuando alguien llama o dice que nos va a matar con una pistola. No dices nada, ¿verdad? ¿Y quiénes son? ¿Terrorismo interno?
Ma'am, we'll pause your time and have the interpreter come into the chamber.
I can interpret it. I can interpret too.
Then proceed.
Terrorismo interno. Y Terra ni vive en el lugar que vive. Vive en La Joya con sus parientes, ni viven en Cenitas. Y por eso lo están llamando para su silla, que se le van a quitar. Nadie me ha discriminado, pero Antifa y BLM son terroristas, pero este no dice nada. Dice, oh, está bien, llaman y asultan a la gente de los Estados Unidos. Patria y vida.
Next speaker, please.
Consuelo. The lie said to the truth, let's take a bath together. The well water's very nice. The truth, still suspicious, tested the water and found out it really was nice. So they got naked and bathed. But suddenly, the lie leaped out of the water and fled. wearing the clothes of the truth. The truth, furious, climbed out of the well to get her clothes back. But the world, upon seeing the naked truth, looked away with anger and contempt. Poor truth returned to the well and disappeared forever, hiding her shame. Since then, the lie runs around the world dressed as the truth, and society is very happy because the world has no desire to know the naked truth. A lie does not become truth, wrong does not become right, and evil does not become good just because it is accepted by a majority. Discrimination on any form, of any form, is not acceptable. That's what you said, Nathan. You're discriminating against a lot of people who have absolutely every right to reject something that is still under EUA.
Clapping in the chamber is disrupting the proceedings. Third row, this is your second warning. Audra, this is your first. Next speaker, please.
Jason Robo. Yeah, it's funny you say that you want people to express themselves, but you basically made rules so you just get to go home early. Nice using that excuse. Discrimination in another form. Yeah, definitely this is hypocrisy. I don't know if you had a favorite philosopher, would be Hippocrates. Yeah, this is like you're creating the new whites only, which is paradoxical. Women should have a right to choose, but not Bill Gates' prick. I've said that before. It's pretty rapey to force that on people. And yeah, Bill Gates, I think he named his company after himself for being a little limp dick dweeb, Microsoft. Yeah, Agenda 21 is something the UN wanted, and they're right on time with this, with the pandemic. The documentary Endgame discussed this 10 years ago. They talk about equality and sustainability, but they're really just ways to outsource our sovereignty. A Stanford study on women found that they're more likely to resist the vaccine, so you're overly discriminating against women with that mandate as well. And yeah, this is an invasion of our immune systems. That's another form of discrimination. And hypocrisy, the etymology, is the sin of pretending to virtue or goodness. Sounds pretty appropriate. It also refers to acting on stage or pretense. And yeah, there's an interesting old story about a monkey and the fish. And the monkey says, "Let me make sure that you stay safe," as he puts the fish into a tree. And that's what you're pretty much doing. You act like you're going to keep us safe, but you're not. And yeah, I mean, is laughing okay? I don't know. We don't know either. Can we clap? Can we snap our fingers? That's supposed to be like a non-threatening, yeah? We should have a mic in the crowd too. That would be nice. But you don't want people to hear the people. You just want to tell them what to do.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those that speak by phone. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You'll then need to press *6 to unmute your line. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record, and please mute your TV or live video stream before you begin speaking. And if you could please identify the callers.
Our first caller is 1206. 1206, please press *6 to unmute. There you go. Go ahead.
Greetings. I'd like to thank Supervisor Vargas and Fletcher for looking at this issue. My name is Leah Goodwin. I am chair of the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women is an international bill of rights for women. But I just saw a woman say she has not been discriminated against. Well, she is a rare woman. In this country right now and in California, women are more likely than men to live in poverty, to live in extreme poverty, and not be noticed or regarded. This ordinance will help us look at gender equity. It'll help us look at our young women, making sure that the doors are open to opportunities to serve on boards, to have the same pay as their counterparts. This has been something that has been established across the country. And as we look at justice and racial justice and justice for all and for women, we need this ordinance so that we can make a difference for everybody, because the playing field is not balanced. We stand ready to work with the county to make this ordinance happen and to make sure that women and girls have an equal seat, have equal opportunities, and can have the same equity and rights as everyone. Thank you so much for bringing this ordinance to the county. The commission has long been looking at this and wanting to make this happen. And Supervisor Vargas, I proudly serve as your commissioner, and I'm proud of the work that you are doing for all of us and this ordinance for women. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 0854. 0854. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning. I'm Kim Knox, president of the League of Women Voters of San Diego. The leagues of both San Diego and North County, San Diego strongly support adoption of a CDAW ordinance by the Board of Supervisors. Given next year's commemoration of the 50th anniversary of Title IX, adopting an ordinance to identify, assess, and eliminate discriminatory actions that target and impact women and girls is timely and necessary. This will enable San Diego County to join with other California counties and counties and cities throughout the U.S. which have enacted CDAW ordinances. San Francisco adopted its CDAW ordinance in 1998, Los Angeles its in 2003, Santa Clara and other counties more recently. Achievements of both LA and San Francisco have been so impressive in implementing plans to assure gender equity that their elected leaders were honored at the United Nations. In 2019, the League mobilized a group of community organizations to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which entitled women to vote. 36 of these organizations joined with us in support of a CDAW ordinance for the city of San Diego. The CDAW working group, led by the League, has analyzed CDAW ordinances in other counties and cities and stands ready to assist you with development of an ordinance for San Diego County. We're hopeful that the county's ordinance will leverage similar action in other local jurisdictions. Mayor Gloria has indicated his support, and we continue to work with the San Diego City Council. Moving forward with this motion will be an important step toward universal and fundamental acknowledgement of human rights for women and girls, and the League looks forward to working with the county on this important effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 9517. 9517, please press *6 to unmute. 9517, please press *6 to unmute.
Chair Fletcher, we're not seeing any movement from that caller. That appears to conclude public communication on this item.
All right, we'll now go to my colleagues. We'll start with Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
First of all, I just really want to thank Chair Fletcher and Vice Chair Vargas for bringing this item forward to eliminate discrimination against women and call for gender equity in our region. I think it's a great idea, and it's an idea that has been far too long in coming. I'm very happy to see that included in the recommendations is that the OERJ staff will coordinate with the County Commission on the status of women and girls. As our most recent caller just referenced, there's just so many subject matter experts here in San Diego County who can be a resource as we develop this ordinance. As someone who previously worked with the United Nations and World Bank, CDAW was always a point of reference for the work that we did advancing social and economic rights worldwide, and especially advocating for the rights of women and girls. In my former life, working on global development, it was a well-established fact that societies and countries that treat women equitably are not only more fair, but are also more economically prosperous, have better educational and health outcomes for children, and lead to improved social and economic rights outcomes for everyone across the board. I also want to express my appreciation and support for the importance of improving our data practices, which currently tracks only cisgender data. As a person who identifies as non-binary, I love that this board letter is ensuring that our county move toward a more accurate data collection methodology, one that is more inclusive by including transgender and gender nonconforming women, youth, and girls. Although the United States has not ratified CEDAW, San Diego County can be added to the list of cities and counties that adopt local ordinance to reflect and advance the principles of CEDAW. San Diego needs this ordinance, and by adopting it, we can ensure our region becomes more equitable moving forward. So I am proud to support this motion and this ordinance, and thank you both so much for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Supervisor Lesser. Supervisor Desmond.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I got to tell you, when I first read the title here, the UN Convention, it's like, holy cow, what are we trying to do here? So I usually vote against things that are, I think, more federal or state-oriented as opposed to, county business. But when I saw, that the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, I think it's a good thing. But I got some questions I'd like to ask. So what's the scope? Is this for if we do come up with an ordinance, is this ordinance county-wide? Is this for county government only? Is this for just the unincorporated areas? What's the scope of this, and how would we enforce it if it's outside of our jurisdiction, I guess?
Well, so what we're doing is we're asking the Commission on the Status of Women to work with county staff to bring the proposal forth. I would hope that discrimination against women would be county-wide, statewide, and national, but, and I'm not trying to be silly about it, I'm just being honest. I do think that we have to figure out what we're going to do in terms of the accountability piece, but I think the data gathering and really being able to address some of the challenges that we face in our county, I think is a priority for us. And so I think we're going to wait to hear back from the ordinance to really focus.
And I agree it should be countywide. We should have no discrimination anywhere in any shape or form. And so I think I agree with that. But I'm just kind of curious, how we go about doing that. And then I have a question, I guess this is more for...
I think part of it also, Supervisor Desmond, is how do we provide the tools for businesses, organizations, even our county as well, so that people can hold themselves accountable. We may not be able to tell a business this is what you have to do, but sometimes what organizations and businesses need and community is the tools to be able to address some of that, right? So if we have the data, we can demonstrate, for instance, the ratio between the amount, salaries between women of color, and or the LGBT community. There's a lot of data that we can gather that would be helpful as other entities outside of the county could be making their decisions to also ensure that they're equal in how they treat their staff and workers.
Okay, well, I got another question then for staff, and then another one after that. Has the county, have we done our own assessment of our own workforce here at the county to see if there's any discriminatory practices? Have we ever done an overall look at ourselves to see if if there's any room for improvement concerning discriminatory practices?
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. We absolutely have looked at that periodically through our HR department. We also have an ongoing process where anybody that elevates a discrimination practice, we do a complete thorough investigation of that and then take any action necessary as a result of those activities. But I think what the Vice Chair is referring to is a broader look, and then also through our Status of Women Commission, looking to see what other things we might take beyond just our own workforce.
Okay, because I believe if we're going to do this, we got to clean our own house first.
Yeah.
You have to set the example, and so you have to clean up your. And I would suspect we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure there's absolutely no discrimination here within the county, within the workforce, at all. But there's always room for improvement. So I just want to make sure we're doing the best practices before we start telling other people what to do those as well. So that would be, and if we have any data that shows that we are, if you could bring that back when you have it. I guess you told me some of the things that we're doing, but so anyway, I'll be supporting the item. I just kind of thought it was pretty, when you brought in the United Nations, I was, oh my gosh, what is this? But anyway, thank you very much. I'll be supporting. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I'll be supporting it. In the short time I was in the legislature, I made a big stink because women were underpaid. and it was a substantial amount of money. In fact, after complaining for over a year, they went back and did a study, and all the women on my staff throughout the Senate all got substantial pay increases. I hope that we don't have to do that here in the county, that we're already there, but I think pay equity is a real factor for discriminating.
Excuse me, Supervisor Anderson. Ma'am, your comments are disrupting the proceedings of the meeting. Yes, ma'am, your continued outburst is continuing to disrupt the conduct of the meeting. Okay, ma'am, this is your third warning. You continue to disrupt. I'm going to ask the deputies to escort you out, please. Ma'am, in the third row there, you've repeatedly disrupted the conduct of the meeting. It's time for you to leave. I'm going to ask the deputies to please remove this individual. You've been repeatedly warned. Your conduct is disruptive. It's impeding the conduct of the meeting. Ma'am, please leave.
You're discriminating. How dare you, Nathan?
Ma'am, you were repeatedly warned. You were informed on what the rules were. You were repeatedly warned. You continue to do it, and you continue to go forward. I'm asking the deputies to please remove you from the chamber.
Just one chair. Come on. Oh, what a great example, huh, Nathan Fletcher? How you just discriminate.
Ma'am, you can go too. That's your now third warning. That's your third warning. You can both leave together. Come back next time and try again.
You just proved your point. You're such a discriminating person. As you talk about women being discriminated, you're escorting.
Board's going to take a brief recess. Please escort her out. Thank you. All right, we are back. Supervisor Anderson will allow you to, why don't you just start your comments all over?
Yeah, you know what? I'll just cut to the chase because I don't remember where I left off. The big thing is I just want to make sure that pay equity is in this because that people frequently are, without intending to, have a gender bias in the pay. And in the state Senate, I forgot the number, but it was a significant number, and they had to go back and bring women up so that they were being paid the same amount for the same job. And I'm sure we're doing that here at the county, but it's I just want to make sure that's in it. And I'm sure it is, but even when you think that you have it taken care of, it's surprising how far off base we can be. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisors. We've got a motion by Vice Chair Vargas, seconded by myself to approve the recommendations in Agenda Item 19. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
All right, we're now going to go to Agenda Item number 11, Authorized Continuance of Teleconference Public Meetings. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by myself, seconded by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Let me ask the clerk to call forward any public speakers on this item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 3 requests to speak on this item, 2 in person and 1 by phone. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. I'd like to invite forward Kristen Vent and Audra. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Also note for the record that we received 2 e-comments on this item, 1 in favor, 1 in opposition.
Is Kristen allowed to come back in? She was not escorted out, but she left. Can she come back in and say her piece? Probably not, because we're going to discriminate against people. It's good. So teleconferencing. I mean, isn't it a violation of the Brown Act to go and speak, you and Fletcher, when the meeting wasn't adjourned and you guys went off? You didn't?
No, it's not against the Brown Act.
It's not to speak about things not in front of the people? It isn't. You sure about that? You're positive? Because you know the Brown Act? So you realize that you guys are violating it all the time? No, you're not. I'm not saying you all the time, but you know that that's going on then, right? No.
I don't participate.
What does that mean, I don't participate, though? What do you mean? But you know that it's going on, and you guys don't even care. It's like conflicts of interest. I mean, there's so many things that you guys are in violation of your own rules, yet you just continue to play this game. I mean, I feel like we're at a comedy show today. There should be a laughing track playing, because it's a joke. Like, you think this is how meetings should go, so you can just go home? I don't want to have to work. I just want to come in real quick and leave. I mean, it's for real. Like, is this was your plan? I mean, Tara, you wanted to go to 30 seconds. So that 7 seconds for 17 items was a good one. It's a good way for people to redress their grievances. So it's like, let's violate the Constitution. It's great. This is just fun times.
We'll now hear from the individual that requested to speak by phone on this item. We'll be identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. I'll ask you to please press *6 to unmute your line. And if you could please identify the caller.
Our caller is 1861. 1861. Please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, this is Kevin Stevenson again. I support the continuance of teleconference public meetings. The hybrid model truly makes it the easiest possible to speak your mind, for better or for worse, either in person or over the phone. We should give this option going. We should keep this option going beyond the pandemic. San Diego County is a big place. Not everyone has the disposable income to drive from North County to downtown San Diego every single meeting and stay put there all day long from 9 a.m. till nighttime. like Audra Morgan and her fellow crisis actors might have the disposable income
Speaker,
to do
we're going to
so.
ask you to
But
pause
frankly,
your time. We're going to ask you to pause your time. You cannot disrupt the proceedings of the meeting. An individual can speak to the topics at hand. They can speak to individuals who speak. There's nothing discriminatory or disruptive in his comments. Your outbursts are disrupting the proceeding and the warning. This is your second warning. Please control yourself and not disrupt other speakers. Speaker, please continue.
Yes. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that people from other parts of the county should be able to call in and not have to drive all the way down there to speak their mind. Also, I think these people are kind of proving my other point that, frankly, some people don't feel safe to be in those chambers with the people who keep interrupting me. I would not feel safe being around a bunch of unvaccinated, potentially COVID-carrying individuals. I just don't feel safe in that kind of environment personally. So I think we should increase engagement and participation by keeping this hybrid model going, because I know from experience that when you give people the option to either show up in person or over the phone, you actually increase people paying attention. More people are engaged and they're following what their elected officials are doing. So please vote yes on item 11. Thank you so much.
Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
Got a motion by myself, seconded by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Not seeing any requests to speak from my colleagues. Please vote. I'm sorry. Supervisor Anderson, you want to make comments?
I'm good. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes with Supervisor Anderson voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
We're going to go to agenda item number 18, an item related to oil spills, offshore oil welling, and clean water, brought forward by myself and Supervisor Lawson-Remer. I'm going to start with Supervisor Lawson-Remer, see if she has any introductory comments.
I just want to take a moment to uplift the work that our congressional delegation has been doing to fight to protect our shores along the California coast, and particularly in Southern California. What we saw in Orange County a month ago was a wake-up call that came with tar balls along our coastlines and beaches, and frankly, a wake-up call to everyone who cares about our regional economy. And as well as jobs and livelihoods throughout San Diego County. Fossil fuels are not only warming our planet, they're fouling our coastlines and poisoning our wildlife and communities. We cannot fully succeed in a green jobs and clean energy transition without the full support of all of our allies, including those in Congress who are working so hard to transition our economy. That is why Chair Fletcher and I are asking our colleagues to once again throw our full support behind the American Coast and Oceans Protection Act, authored by Congressmember Mike Levin. I was honored to testify in Congress in support of this bill in May. It is a vital bill to protect our clean waters, to protect our beaches from pollution and oil spills, and to protect our local economy from the devastation that we witnessed just this past October. So now I ask my colleagues to join us today to lend this board's full voice to say to the federal government that it is time to halt more offshore oil drilling in California. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pleased to bring this item forward with Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Our commitment to our beaches and our water quality is not just the commitment we have to the planet we inherited. It's a commitment to things we enjoy so much, a day at the beach with our families, going out and enjoying it. Our beaches and coastlines are a part of our life in San Diego. They're a part of what we enjoy. They're also a significant part of our economy. And when we see the impacts of offshore drilling, we see tar balls washing up on our shore across the coast, we see the impact to our way of life, to our obligation to preserve and protect our environment, the impacts to our economy. And the simple reality is offshore drilling is not worth the risk. And it is something that many of us have felt for many years was wrong. And the reality is the federal government is the one that controls the federal waters off the coast. And so I'm pleased to bring this forward to put San Diego County on record in full support of Congressman Mike Levin's Americans Coast and Ocean Protection Act to prohibit leasing, exploration, development, oil production, or natural gas along the Southern California coast from San Diego all the way through San Luis Obispo County. And this is the right thing to do, and I think it's an appropriate thing for us to do here in the county, and pleased to support this. I also just want to take a moment and thank our Office of Emergency Services and everyone else who engaged rapidly on this issue, who were a part of the Unified Command, who coordinated efforts among Fish and Wildlife and the Coast Guard and all of the entities involved to ensure testing and monitoring cleanup along our beaches and bays. The reality is there's an easy way to avoid this situation happening in the future, and that's to stop offshore drilling off the coast of California. And so pleased to support it. I will make a motion to approve. If we have a second. Perfect. With that, let's go to our public speakers, and then we'll come back. I know my colleagues have some comments on this item as well.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 7 requests to speak on this item, 3 in person and 4 by phone. I also note for the record that we received 2 e-comments in favor on this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 18 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All of these individuals are in opposition to this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals. I'd like to invite forward Audra, Jason Robo, and Mark Dorian. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Audra, yeah, so it's great that Ken Stevenson can call in all the time and harass me. And, I mean, is he a stalker because he's, you know, going on and telling just anything about me? I mean, that's quite a threat to me. But yet, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, you wouldn't even shut him up. You said we can't harass people? Yeah, every time he calls in to harass me and other people? I mean, that's a bit ridiculous. You guys want to, like, silence, you know, if it goes against, like, if I was doing that to him, saying things that are in his personal life, you would shut me up. But because he's doing it every time, are you paying him? I don't know. But it's like, I mean, how are we threatening him when he's the one that's like a stalker, finding out information about me and putting it on record? I mean, what was all these new rules for? If you're going to, you know, allow some people to harass people and silence others. Like, you're so, like, it's like a zombie. Like, you just stare off into space like what I'm saying is bogus. You hear him do it every time, both days, Wednesdays as well. But we can't harass you. Is that it? But they can call and harass us and say, oh, I don't want to be around unvaccinated people. Well, he's more of a threat if he's vaccinated than we are, because he has 251 times the viral load as me. So I'm glad he doesn't come in, because he can't even face us anyway. He wants to sit and talk shit. Like, you guys are condoning that. And instead of, like, let's look at petroleum-based medications and the cancer they cause.
Next speaker, please.
Mark Dorian. From what I've heard recently, I guess there's only about 4% of the oil reserves in the U.S. that are tapped off our coast, which means it's obviously way more dangerous than it's worth. But it's not like the council really cares about water quality anyway, because there was the sand mine story in the mainstream news about a year ago, and just east of Lakeside. It's our 3rd largest water aquifer, and serves Mount Helix and much of the community in the east. And as I read in the Union Tribune, I believe, it was sold off, the rights to it, for $10 million. It's worth over $100 million, the sand they'll make. Unbelievable profits. And I think they only got $1 million last I heard of the $10 million. The people in Lakeside were extremely upset because of the bacteria that would be kicked up in the soil. And it's polluting our 3rd largest water aquifer, even though they just declared that there's another water drought situation. It's just so ridiculous. And of course, as far as oil goes, Trump, one of the only good things about him was that he was relieving our whole country from needing oil from the Far East at all. And Biden has completely changed that, and now oil has doubled. It's obviously you guys don't seem to care about the people at all, or our interests, or our American interests. And I think you should.
Jason Robo. Yeah, I think the offshore drilling is insane, and just oppose you guys in general, as we've said before. When those things are tapped, it's like if they're allowed to just burst, it's like squeezing a zit. They're under all the pressure from the ocean, so it's just like a really insane way of getting fossil fuels, which is a bogus terminology. It was created by the oil industry. You'll have to look it up online. I don't have the reference ready. If we cared about clean waters, we should divert runoff from the highways and streets to some kind of filtering facilities. And then with all the homelessness and people crapping on the rivers, that's another problem. But our energy systems are super inefficient. A Department of Energy chart shows that 2/3 of our energy overall is lost through the waste of heat and transmission. And so we should be talking about increasing efficiency, especially if you're talking about limiting a resource. And yeah, Mexico, our neighbor, speaking of clean water, is like, it's a travesty that we allow our neighbor to wallow in filthy water that we're going to have as a side effect in our ocean as well that we share. And it shows also to me the hypocrisy we have with all the COVID funding, where it's like we're going to give vaccines to some poor African child, but they're drinking literally shitty water so they can die of cholera, which is totally ridiculous. The amount of money that's been spent on COVID response could pay to feed and give clean water to the world many times over. So there's some more hypocrisy for you. Pesticides and herbicides should also be banned in the city, and you could find like labor to supplement the economy, maybe some of the convicts you don't want to keep in jail, and that would be therapeutic type work. There's also the GM railcar or streetcar conspiracy, where the manufacturers of the components for the auto industry destroy public transportation, so we should promote public transportation, maybe some open air transit, and not force people to wear masks or facial security blankets, as I like to call them, because they don't do anything.
We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. We'll be calling speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear a notification that your call has been unmuted. You'll then need to press *6 to unmute your line. We'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record, and I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And if you could please identify the callers.
Our first caller is 8340. 8340, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. My name is Lucero Sanchez of San Diego Coastkeeper. I'm calling today to support this item. The recent spill in Orange County was a reminder that oil spills are devastating to our environment, our public health, our quality of life, and our economic health. We cannot move forward in the fight against climate change without addressing what is happening on our coast. Phasing out offshore oil drilling is long overdue. I ask that the board vote yes on the item and support the American Coast and Ocean Protection Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 1861. 1861, please press *6 to unmute.
Hi, this is Kevin Stevenson, and I am actually going to stay on topic, unlike some of the other speakers earlier. So we must stop all oil drilling over the course of the next decade, and starting with stopping all offshore oil drilling is an excellent start. We all saw the recent oil spill in Huntington Beach. We've all seen the effects that burning fossil fuels has had on our planet. Heat waves, fires, hurricanes, snowstorms, all of these weather events around the world, including some of the heat waves and fires locally, they've been getting worse and worse. And they're going to continue to get worse if we don't get serious right now. So as someone who has concerns about our climate every day, I sincerely hope you vote yes on item 18. Also, I just want to note that Audra's information is completely public on IMDb, and so the idea that I'm somehow harassing her is hilarious. Sorry, I had to get that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 9367. 9367, please press *6 to unmute. 9367.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. My name is Kyle Creel-Frolander, and I am the District Director for Congressman Mike Levin. Thank you very much for considering this item. As you're well aware, the impact of the oil spill earlier this year on our communities is devastating. We have to act before we're forced to respond to the next spill. And the only foolproof way to prevent another spill is to stop offshore oil drilling along our coast. And this kind of disaster is exactly why Congressman Levin introduced his American Coast and Oceans Protection Act much earlier this year to prohibit any new leasing for the exploration, development, or production of oil or natural gas along Southern California coast from San Diego all the way to the northern border of San Luis Obispo County. It's an environmental issue, it's an economic issue, but importantly, it's a bipartisan issue. And your emphasized support with this resolution will provide important momentum to get this bill passed to protect our coast. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.
Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Let me go to my colleagues, starting with Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I have a friendly amendment that I'd like for you to consider. Along with this, I'm full support of this, but along with this, if we could amend into this, having the county send a letter to the governor requesting that he take any action necessary to expedite the decommissioning of platforms that are minimally operating just to avoid the cost of shutting down operations. And two, seek funding under the recently passed infrastructure bill to explore the use of non-operating oil platforms as sites for potential energy generating wind turbines. These are already out there, they're already sitting, and it seems like that might be a way to continue to get electricity from them in a green manner.
Yeah, happy. I think we're both happy to accept those. One, around communicating to the governor around minimally or non-operating platforms, and second is seeking funding to potentially convert those into other renewable sources of energy. Thank you. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank Chair Fletcher and Supervisor Lawson-Remer for bringing this item forward. Since the 1980s, San Diegans have led the effort against further offshore drilling off the California coast. Congressional representatives from both parties, and us here from both parties, it looks like, have agreed that drilling off California is a really, really bad idea. And that we've all been united in that opposition across party lines. There have been no new oil leases in federal waters along the California coast for more than 30 years, and none in the state waters for more than 50 years. We need to continue to push against any attempt, I think, to revive offshore drilling. So I'll be supporting the item today, and thanks for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Supervisor. Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you. Just the only thing to add, in addition to everything that everyone has said, I do want to just personally thank Congressman Mike Levin for leading the efforts and will, all the work that he's been doing. I also wanted to say to both of you, thank you for bringing this forth, and wanted to make sure that I remind folks that APCD was also monitoring this, and I think it's important to look at it from that lens as well. So wanted to make sure that I highlighted the work that they have been doing in conjunction with our Office of OES. And so thank you to everyone. I'm happy to support it.
All right, thank you. We've got a motion by myself, second by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Before we return to non-agendized public communication, I want to go to board committee reports and ask if any of my colleagues have any information they would like to share surrounding any of the boards and commissions they participate on. Supervisor Desmond?
I just want to give a plug also to Congressman Levin on other issues, but I've been working with him on, and so for this item as well. So I don't have any other committee reports. Thanks.
Perfect. Vice Chair Vargas.
Yeah, I'll just report out that as chair of the APCD board, we are currently in our search for our next executive director. We've been doing extensive work, and so we'll be shortly filling that really, really, really important position. And so I'm excited about that work that is being done there. And then also yesterday we had our last meeting for our South Bay Equity Task Force, specifically focused on the Tijuana River Valley, and there's been a lot of work that is moving forward in a really short amount of time, and looking forward to next year really bringing additional solutions to address the public health care concerns around the Tijuana River Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will go to our adjourn and memories. We're going to start with Vice Chair Vargas, honoring Maria Ramirez.
Thank you. Today I want to adjourn in memory of Luz Maria Ramirez de Rosas, a great mother, a great warrior woman who was happy and loved life. Luz Maria Ramirez de Rosas was born on June 26, 1944 in Cananea, Sonora, and moved to Tijuana at a young age before moving to the city of San Diego, where she lived for more than 14 years. She is the widow of Enrique Rosas Luca and mother of 3 children, Pilar, Marisol, and Enrique Rosas. She passed away last month after a long struggle with kidney failure. She was a woman who loved life and her family very much and who fought to live until her illness overcame her. She loved people, was a great friend, and the driving force in life was her children and 2 granddaughters. I know her daughters very well as we went to school together, and she did very well. So today I would like to adjourn today's meeting in her honor and in her memory. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to adjourn today's San Diego County Board of Supervisors meeting in honor of Greg Block. Greg passed away last Saturday with his wife Rachel at his side after a courageous, difficult, and very long battle with cancer. Greg had battled it, had come into remission. Earlier this year, we joined him and his family at a soccer game. He looked great and felt great and was doing great. And there's a tremendous heartbreak in watching it return and watching it have the really severe and fatal consequences that it did. For everyone who knew Greg, you knew someone who was the very best of San Diego, someone who loved this community. He loved our institutions. He participated in our civic process. He loved everything about this region. He loved his family. He offered so much. When it returned and the path forward was not in a place of optimism, to visit with him and be able to see him there and have him want to talk about everything that was happening in government and politics in San Diego, to offer his opinions and thoughts and takes, and to watch that continued engagement, even in the really difficult condition he was in and the tremendous strain that was on his family, understanding the reality of his relapse and the lack of available treatment options moving forward, was something that was difficult and challenging, but also in part was inspiring. An individual who knew that his time was coming to an end, still had an interest in his friends, still had such a deep and abiding love for his family, still had great optimism about what San Diego was and in particular what it could be. And San Diego will never be the same without Greg Block, an individual who contributed and meant so much to so many of us. He graduated from San Diego State in 1995. In 2008, he became their Director of Media Relations, advancing their new digital strategy. He was promoted to Chief Communication Officer for the university, but those of us who knew Greg knew he was also Chief Cheerleader for San Diego State University, someone who loved his Aztecs. I don't think he ever missed a basketball game or a football game, someone who cared deeply about the role that they played. But he went beyond just his work at San Diego State. He worked in public relations for Berkman Strategic Communications. He worked for the Corky Macmillan Companies. In 2007, Greg became the mayor of San Diego's senior press secretary and public policy manager. He managed communications around several issues, including homelessness, work around transportation. In 2019, he joined his wife, Rachel, at the public affairs firm. She founded 360 Public Strategies. He brought in clients working on the regional task force on homelessness, in addition to many other endeavors that he embarked on and gave his time towards. In addition to his wife, Rachel, Greg is survived by his 2 children, Benjamin and Georgia. He was a family man in the best sense of the word, and the understanding of commitment of not just quality of time, but quantity of time. Everyone around them knows how devoted he was. He coached Little League softball teams. He encouraged both of his kids to pursue their interest in music. His time being hospitalized and battling cancer was particularly difficult because of the circumstances around COVID-19. Last Father's Day, his friends and family gathered outside his hospital window to be able to show their love and support at a period of great difficulty. And he was a individual who would partake on so many new endeavors. He was learning to play the ukulele. He was researching his family's Russian history. During COVID, he took up a renewed interest in chess. And After long, difficult days going through everything we were doing, I could count at night to text Greg and ask him if he was up for a game of chess, and we would play remotely and virtually on chess.com. He is someone who always had a hot take on what was happening, but an insightful take, a thoughtful take. Someone who was always engaged and relevant and really committed to San Diego. And we are a better town because of his life. I am a better person for having known him. And so we send our deepest condolences to Rachel, his children, and everyone who knew him. I'd like to call on Vice Chair Vargas to add a few words.
I'm going to try. I just wanted to acknowledge both Greg and his family. His loss to our community is a great one. I got to know him mostly because of Rachel, who is just a wonderful, amazing human being, and that's who they both were. They opened their home to all of us constantly, knowing that sometimes politics can get tough and things can get challenging. They always made space for all of us to be there and to join. He was always happy. Even though there were so many people around, he was just so happy to have us there, even if he had worked long hours and worked on campaigns and did so much. But who he was really, when we talk about him being a cheerleader for San Diego State, he really was a cheerleader for kindness and better government and what community really meant to our communities. And so I had an opportunity to share, provide him a proclamation on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of all of us about 2 months ago, and I sat in his backyard and we had a conversation about everything and anything, and his family, got to meet his family, and mostly, you know, he was able to hang out with his lovely dogs. It was tough to see him because it was tough to see someone who has always been so strong and who has been doing so much to see him in that place. But what I want to remember is who he was and what he did for this community, not only for San Diego State, but for our communities as a whole. Always honest, always direct, and always ready to take on the next fight on behalf of the white hats and the good people. And so I want to publicly not only thank him, but thank Rachel and Ben and Georgia for sharing him with all of us. So thank you.
And with that, we adjourn today's Board of Supervisors meeting in honor and memory of Greg Block. We will now resume non-agendized public communication. I will ask the clerk to call forward our remaining speakers.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 17 remaining requests under non-agenda public communication this afternoon, 8 in person and 9 by phone. For those who requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. I'll be calling you in groups of 5. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Bob Cotton, Sterling Moffitt, Mia-Lisa Flores, Paul Riker, and Audra. If I've called your name, please come forward. I'll go ahead and call the remaining in-person speakers. If you're here, please come forward and stand against the east wall. Robert Wellstand, Kristen Vent, and Jason Robo. You may come forward in any order. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Robert Cotton. Good morning, Board. I think I might have a really great idea how to deal with this COVID situation. Let's get some big drug companies to make billions on a wonder drug. Then get the government to promote it as safe and effective, even though it's only been used for a very short time. So far, so good. But then our own county health department report last week contains data that is not announced or certainly not promoted as real information. In the last 30 days, in our own county, the fully vaccinated have accounted for 29% of all cases, 26% of all deaths. Again, 26% of all deaths. Now, these shots are working so well, this board wants to make it mandatory for county workers and our brave first responders at peril of their livelihood. Why? It's Such a great product that our health experts are pushing to inoculate our 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds. Sarcasm off. Are we testing all county workers for HIV, STDs? Can we inoculate our 5-year-olds against common colds, bumps and bruises, car accidents? Some in power would like to inoculate all of us against independent thought and into groupthink, inoculate us against liberty and into subjugation.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board. My name's Paul Rieker. Speaking today on the adverse childhood experience. I'm leaving a folder for each of the county supervisors. My 2 minutes is insufficient to be able to bring you the information necessary. So I'd like you to review that document. In the beginning of it is documents from the Department of Defense. I've passed a scientific review for a process to address the underlying emotional issue of PTSD, but this goes to the adverse childhood experience as well. The next document, as I'm running out of time, is and I'd like to bring your attention to the signatures on each one of these letters. Deputy Director of Psychological Health at Defense Centers of Excellence, Deputy Director of Behavioral Health, U.S. Army MedCom, and the Executive Director of the Veterans Administration. I got to this medical review from a document that I wrote with Dr. Roger Russell at the University of Laverne. That document says the associational learning is the process that creates the disability. That is, the transition into sleep with the emotion of despair is a learning event. It's not genetic, and it's not a personality defect. It's a learning event, a transition into sleep with despair if a child's beaten or raped in a household without food. And I say I'm out of time. This paper.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Bye, Tara.
Thank you.
Everyone just leaves. Why don't you guys get up and leave? I know you don't want to sit here and listen to anybody. But since we're spreading information, I would like Kevin Stevenson's number to be public record. That is 442-237-186.
We're not giving out people's personal information.
Because you're having him give my personal information.
Pause your time. You come down here and criticize people, and that's allowed. And no, and that's okay. You criticize us, you criticize staff.
I criticize you, yeah.
Audra,
I do.
we're not going to interrupt. Now, you're can do that, and you do that. I'm going to resume your time. But you can come down and criticize, and you do, and that's okay, and that's your right.
Yeah.
But other individuals can criticize as well.
Me?
And so they can criticize anyone they want. Audrey, stop interrupting. Stop. Now, you can come down here and speak, and you criticize us, and you criticize others, and we allow you to do it because that's your right.
Right.
Can you stop interrupting? Is it possible, just for a moment? So you can come and you can speak, and you speak a lot, and that's okay, and that's your right, and you can criticize us, you can criticize other people, you can do that. But if someone else has that same right, and they can criticize other individuals they want, so we're not sharing people's personal information and their phone number and their home address.
Because he is.
No.
He's sharing personal information about me. Yes, he is.
Audra,
he calls in every time,
Nathan.
Nathan.
Stop interrupting or not? Okay.
You're interrupting.
Resume your time. Say what you want. Resume your time.
I mean, it's ridiculous because he can come and say whatever he wants about me, and I do that, and you're going to reprimand me for it? I mean, you interrupt me all the time, and I can't interrupt you. We can't have a conversation. It's a joke. Rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, that's what's going on. You're allowing that man to call in all the time and harass me. That's what he's doing. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going to say do the same thing. If you're not going to stop him, why stop me from doing it? But anyway, so if this is Children's Injury Prevention Week, are you going to stop the vaccines during that week? How many children are going to die that week that you're going to vaccinate? How many? Do you even know how many have died already? Something you should look into. I mean, this is a fucking joke. I can't even.
Yes.
Next speaker, please.
I'm giving a handout to everyone. There's 10 copies for people here, board members and staff. I'll wait for her to pass it out. These are my references for what I'm speaking on. Now?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right,
Please
so
state your
the
name.
truth is that the pandemic is now an endemic.
Sir, can you please state your name?
Robert Wellstand. The truth is the pandemic is now an endemic. One VOC, weekly new case count rate of change keeps dropping. Cases remain high and localized in the county to Otay Mesa, the migrant and homeless populations. As I pointed out last time, unknown by zip code is the thing where these are tabulated. It's now number 2, up from number 4 last week. LifeSite News reports Harvard epidemiologist Kuldorf and 59,000 medical professionals and public health scientists advocate focused protection on the vulnerable while letting others go about their business. A total of 102 peer-reviewed studies conclude immunity from COVID infection is equal or superior to vaccine. Contrast this to 3 CDC-sponsored studies with opposite conclusions. Real science weighs evidence. Yet this council, in collusion with HHSA, the empire, doubles down on vaccine mandates for San Diego City employees and children not exposed to the high-risk group. The only emergency is how San Diego government has failed our county by threatening public safety, by diverting funds from real social services to fight a phantom menace with a $1.6 billion annual budget allotted to HHSA last meeting on November 2nd. If you really cared about public health, install portable toilets and wash stations. Give out vitamin packs to the homeless to boost their immune system. Set up the tents at the ports of entry, the border, and the airport. That's what they do in Germany. Finally, I was disappointed by misinformation spoken by City Council President Campbell in yesterday's CRRC meetings at the end of item 1. This shows the problem with lawyers, socialites, and real estate professionals dictating practice of medicine without a license. Vaccine alone is not going to end this pandemic. Natural immunity deserves notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Mia Lisa Flores. I am here representing California Youth Connections. I am the San Diego chapter chair. I am currently employed by them as a project and program trainee, and I am also a member of their policy and legislative committee and 2 more subcommittees. I am working on rebuilding the San Diego chapter in partner with Promises to Kids. California Youth Connections is a youth-led nonprofit advocacy group centered on the development of leaders who empower each other and their communities to transform the foster care system through legislative policy and practice change. We are here today to introduce ourselves and bring to your attention, if you weren't already aware, of Bill AB 153 that was recently passed, awarding the state of California $35 million for guaranteed income pilot programs focusing on foster youth and parenting youth over the course of 5 years. Each county that wishes to apply will make a request for proposal, but it's important you know that the state will only match 50% of what each county is willing to use for this budget. I am asking for a chance to speak with you more about the GIPP and why I think it would benefit our community, and discuss the possibility of partnering with you. So, thank you.
Jason Robo. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. Forced human experimentation, which there's an EUA for, even though falsely they claim no alternative therapy exists, lets them still spread and kill people, reminds me of Tuskegee. This is like Tuskegee 2.0, Equality Edition, and it's an abomination that a person of color would lead the charge for it, and that was my point. Some people don't like my critical race theory, but you guys are creating vaxism. In the South, blacks were at least able to be sitting on the back of the bus at the end of the counter. Now you're going to make it so that nobody can be involved with any activity unless they're vaccinated. Saying I'm racist when I'm attacking someone's character is totally ridiculous. I've gotten death threats, so I guess we have something in common now. And these rules that you created in response reveal your cowardice and desperation. This is not to protect your staff. You are a staff infection, in my opinion. And you're protecting yourself from losing your composure, because I actually did strike a nerve for once. You never respond to us. The irony is that people actually want to lynch me now, and I did come back to address in another item your racist allegations, and I spoke about how Italians were discriminated and lynched. So it's irony that that's going to be your outcome from what you perpetuated. And it's crazy to worry about terminology when people actually don't set terms to protect people. Actions speak louder than words. Worrying about somebody saying N-bombs versus bombing people is crazy, and your policies are what is offensive. I know my character is true, and to borrow a term from Joe Biden, yeah, some people, I guess, are great Negroes. Yeah, I use strong words in my comment, and it's risky, and that's why Chappelle, I think, gets people to not have phones when he criticizes people like in the LGBT community. I should be afforded the same free speech to do so. I was lost 30 seconds of my ability to clarify my point. So I will take a whipping if I had to prove my point and my loyalty towards the black community and anyone else that's oppressed. And you should watch a documentary. They're trying to kill us about how our food is our enemy as well. And my radio show didn't get canceled. That's
Your time has expired.
Thank you. Final call for Sterling Moffett or Kristen Vent. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. We'll be identifying speakers by the last 4 digits of their phone number. You'll hear notification that your call has been unmuted. You'll then need to press *6 to unmute your line. I'll ask each caller to state their name for the audio record. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. And I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And if you could please identify the callers.
Our first caller is 7613. 7613, please press *6 to unmute. 7613.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp. I'm a parent and a youth group mentor, deeply concerned for the public health, safety, and welfare of our children and teens. A recent consumer alert warning was put out by Attorney General Bonta regarding marijuana-infused edibles being packaged and sold as copycat versions of popular food and candy products. These products are marketed to children, mimicking well-known consumer brands, and contain dangerously high levels of THC, oftentimes upwards of 95%. Children can and will mistake these marijuana edibles for popular candies such as gummy bears or Sour Patch Kids, and when ingested, can have severe side effects. Children's Hospital has seen an uptick in emergency and ICU visits due to marijuana poisoning. The Poison Control Center has seen an increase in calls upwards of 345% over the past 2 years. And devastatingly, the biggest percentage of increase was among children ages 0 to 5. Many permitted marijuana storefronts located in cities throughout the county carry these products. And now with the new municipal code changes you've implemented, our 5 existing dispensaries will undoubtedly carry them as well. As they have stated, it's impossible to compete with other permitted retailers if they don't sell these types of products. The Attorney General reminds us in his consumer alert warning that any marijuana-infused edible packaged made to look like a major brand is illegal based on the fact that they are advertising to youth. It puts them in violation of the Medicinal and Adult Use Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act. I ask you how you plan to enforce this crucial and life-saving law in our county. What type of enforcement will be in place to protect the most vulnerable, our children and youth? Thank you.
Our next speaker is 1415. 1415, please press *6 to unmute.
Al Hinken again. Good morning. Welcome back from your coffee break. Very the new rules way down in number 2. It says the Chief Administrative Officer shall determine the placement of agenda items on the consent calendar or as discussion items. Rule 3B says there will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the Board of Supervisors or the Chief Admin Officer so requests. The Chief Administrative Officer is a non-elected official making decisions about what items of public interest the board members should discuss publicly and what the public should be allowed to speak on separately. And if more than 2 items are on the consent calendar, by the way, you get less than a minute each to speak on them. This reeks of corruption. And that's very non-democratic, and please change that rule. But there's a more amusing side. Rule, I think it's 4L2. If a speaker makes an offensive remark, the chairperson shall further state that any county employee who is offended may simply be excused from attendance at the meeting during the remarks. However, then they pause the meeting, so if a speaker offends one county employee, they can all take off. But it is interesting that the speaker himself has a second chance to offend. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 2153. 2153, please press *6 to unmute. 2153, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Supervisors. This is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator with a focus on youth, tobacco, alcohol, and drug prevention. Today, you received an update on the plan to provide services for youth in kindergarten through 12th grade. One of the most important steps you could take to help children would be to prohibit the advertising and promotion of marijuana products, to ban the marketing of marijuana products that target youth, including colorful packaging, child-oriented product names, enticing flavors, edibles that resemble candy, soda, and other treats that are commonly consumed by children. The Partnership to End Addiction reminds us to learn from the policies that were successful in reducing the number of teens who smoke cigarettes. Access to an addictive substance like marijuana that appeals to young people will end up causing harm. Restricting youth exposure and access to marijuana must be deliberate, not an afterthought. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next caller is 4592. 4592, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board. Kathleen Lippett here. I'm here because at some point, those of us who have worked decades to prevent youth initiation and use of addictive drugs like marijuana, harmful to the developing brain, will be recognized. The rationale behind prevention and demand reduction policies, once embraced by the county and HHSA and previous supervisors, are now seemingly only recognized by Supervisors Desmond and Anderson for the wisdom of that secondary order thinking. The lesson of the Chesterton fence heuristic is not to remove prevention fences such as prevention policies before you know why they were erected. Drug use and abuse is a complex system that does not lend itself to a simplistic approach to try and regulate a commercial addiction industry for revenue and political gain. The harmful consequences we are seeing with the epidemic of youth use, mental health problems, etc., result from abandoning prevention policies, reducing the access and availability of those drugs in favor of harm reduction and treatment. Just one of those many red flags is the recent report from the National Academy of Sciences on the harms to developing fetuses that manifest in the children of women influenced by the commercial marijuana industry to treat their nausea and anxiety with marijuana. The result has been increased anxiety, hyperactivity, and aggression in their children. Eschewing prevention efforts and embracing treatment and harm reduction is reactive, costly, and less effective. So it's no surprise that the marijuana industry embraces and prefers treatment and harm reduction over prevention and harm reduction efforts. Please do not partner with the marijuana industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next caller is 1822. 1822, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Peggy Walker. I have just come from a morning conference on marijuana with scientists and experts talking about high-potency THC and confirming that its use can and does result in psychosis. As you continue to promote commercialization of addictive marijuana products through your proposed ordinance, I want to ask if you are willing to take responsibility and do something about the consequences. One consequence is a spike in adolescent vaping and dabbing. Teens prefer vaping and dabbing, according to a recent JAMA Pediatrics report, because content is engineered to ultra-high THC potency, 4 times stronger than a joint, with an immediate, intense, high, and concentrated flavor. And it's undetectable because the light vapor doesn't linger. Oils, extracts, and resins used in dabbing and vaping, however, reach potency as high as 90%. In Europe, 15% is considered a hard drug. Vaping and dabbing include dangerous side effects like rapid heartbeat, blackouts, crawling skin sensations, loss of consciousness, paranoia, and hallucinations. Researchers at Portland State University found that vaping and dabbing also expose users to elevated levels of toxins, including carcinogens. So I would urge you, please consider potency caps and other means to protect teens and young adults from the normalization and extended availability of vape and dabbing products promised by your widespread commercialization plan. An earlier speaker said 1 in 5 San Diegans suffer mental health issues.
Thank you.
Our next caller is 6598. 6598, please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is Ann Riddle. I'm a parent advocate, and as such, I work with many youth groups who are working to promote good health outcomes for their peers. One of the groups recently met, and we studied together the California Department of Public Health's campaign called Flavors Hook Teens. If you go to their website, the graphics say the tobacco industry has a kids menu. The tobacco industry used fun flavors and tech devices to hook kids on nicotine and marijuana. Why kids? A developing brain is easier to addict. As we studied together, the teens and their adult leaders, we now realize that marijuana companies have bought into tobacco companies, and their products and their advertising campaigns seem to have merged. I'd like to add my voice to previous speakers who've brought to your attention regarding the high concentrates of marijuana that we find now in vapes, high concentrated flavored vapes that our young people are using. You did a wonderful thing, the Board of Supervisors did a wonderful thing, and banned flavored tobacco products. We'd like to respectfully ask our youth group and their adult leaders that you would add flavored marijuana products to that ban. Banning both would be a win for public health and safety and a tremendous support for young people as they face difficult choices this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next caller is 7277. 7277. Please press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Diane Grace, a mother, a grandmother, and a youth advocate. I am worried about the serious health hazards associated with marijuana in our youth. I find ISAC, the International Academy on the Science and Impact of Cannabis, to be an excellent source for thousands of medical articles regarding the harms of marijuana. Recently, ISAC sponsored an advertisement in the Wall Street Journal calling attention to the risks of marijuana. Weekly, ISAC members, experts in their field, in their medical fields, conduct webinars that are attended by healthcare providers who are enthusiastic about advancing the research, which suggests the problems associated with marijuana use are widespread. Next week's webinar is entitled Marijuana and Psychosis, What the Research Demonstrates. It is my hope that you, the Board of Supervisors, and or your staff examine ISAC's website, its research and webinars. You can reach their website at www.isic1.org. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next caller is 4900. 4900. Please press *6 to unmute.
My name is Linda Willemse.
Go ahead.
My name is Linda Willemse. Okay, I guess that's a yes. All right. So today I'd like to share some information with you. There was a study done by Toby Rogers. It was a risk-benefit analysis of the inoculations. I'm going to call it inoculation because they are not vaccines. They want you to think it's a vaccine, but it is not a vaccine by any traditional standard. According to Pfizer's own study, they showed that there was 4 times the death from cardiac arrest in the group that got the treatment. There were 20 deaths in the group that got the inoculation versus 14 in the placebo. So yes, it kills more than it saves. There were 20 deaths in the treatment group versus the placebo. Also, the FDA's risk analysis was described, and he said that the risk analysis for the children ages 5 to 11 was one of the shoddiest risk analysis he had ever seen. And he calculated the risk that for every child saved by the shot, another 117 would be killed by the shot. That's one child saved for 117 that would be killed. And imagine that these only represent the known risks currently. Imagine if he knew what other risks there might be or future risks there might be that he could put into that equation. I was thinking, you know, why would they try to recommend and represent a gene-altering inoculation? Why would they do that? Well,
thank you.
The answer.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
All right, with that, we will adjourn into closed session. We will begin closed session at 12:30 p.m. So we'll take about a 30-minute break. We'll resume in closed session, and then we will return at 6 p.m. for agenda item 20. With that, we stand adjourned.
The board is in recess. The board will reconvene into closed session at 12:30 to consider those matters listed under item 21 on today's agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out during the planning and land use session of this meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, November 17, 2021 at 9 a.m. The board will then reconvene at 6 p.m. today to consider item number 20, the Truth Act Community Forum regarding immigration and customs enforcement access to individuals during 2020, again at 6 p.m. this evening. Thank you.